feel like elaborating on the last Instagram post I made where I kind of talked about the evolution of the Escalade and how things kind of get away from you when you start to go so fast and have so much power. It doesn't really hit the marks of why you originally enjoyed it. It's kind of out in this new realm. You may still enjoy it, but it's just not, it's not hitting the spots that it used to. Inadvertently, the stuff that used to be interesting or used to be what lit that fire is now gone, just as a byproduct of having such a fast car. Like this. I started racing at like red lights, just driving around like a regular guy, you know. I'd be in that thing and something like a freaking stupid Subaru or, you know, Charger RT, something of that sort would pull up next to me, and like, you know, you're just gonna floor it when it turns green, because that's what you do. And you find out who's faster. And that's what was fun. You just kind of do like quick little races like that, or, you know, pull up next to somebody on the highway and you just kind of hover there and you look at them and they look back at you and you're like, oh yeah, we're doing this. And then you race. It's quick, it's fun, it's easy, and when you're that slow, almost no one knows you're doing it, so it's not super dangerous. It's hard to get caught because it just kind of happens. But as you get faster and faster and faster, you know, the races are louder, more apparent, more dangerous, and not only that, but your competition gets thinner, because once you cross a certain threshold, there's almost nothing on the road that you'll run into, like out in the wild, that can mess with you. That's how this thing is now. I've not had a car pull up next to me and like want to race with this, ever. I don't think anyone even wants to try. I wouldn't do it anyway, because if I know I'm gonna win, it's not worth it. If I know I'm gonna lose, it's not worth it. So the margin of vehicles that fall into the realm of this is a useful race, I want to see what happens, is so thin that it's kind of not really doing anything as far as actually racing people like it used to. And something else I was thinking about is how much fun it is to listen to an engine when it's just putting in work for like a long period of time. When your car is so fast, I only get to listen to that thing wide open for 9 seconds. And during those 9 seconds, I'm not thinking about how cool it sounds or anything like that, because I'm just holding on. I'm just driving. Where I feel like there's a perfect level of fastness for a car that's still fast enough to be fun, but you can still drive it around the street and lay into it and like listen to the engine do its thing. I think that's fun, especially whenever you're in the slow enough range where you can like roll race people on the highway and you got concrete wall on one side of you, the other side of you is another car that's like almost the same speed, and these engines are just putting in work, and they start to find that harmony where it's just resonating and it's bouncing off the wall next to you, and it's just really cool. It's just, I don't know, that's one of my favorite things, and I just don't get that anymore with this thing. So basically what I'm thinking is the builds that I'm doing from now on are going to be more oriented towards like the visceral experience of driving and enjoying the car and using it for things. And because this has already put its stamp on the world. It says, you know, this is freaking cheat code, turn it up, do whatever you want. Proved its point. I don't need to do it again. I'm not saying I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to keep progressing with this and see where it goes, but I'm just saying not everything I do has to be that way. One memory that comes to mind is the first, how I met the guy who kind of like taught me how to work on cars. I was in high school, Friday night high school football game, sitting there with my friend Austin. You know, we're like talking about other stuff because we didn't really care about football, and at least I didn't. You know, Bill Swaney, he was a grade ahead of us. He graduated already, and he had this Mustang. This is Bill.
What's going on?
What's up, Bill?
What's up?
The significance that Bill serves is way back in the day, Bill basically taught me how to work on cars.
Fuck, minute ago, 5 years probably.
At least.
5 years.
It was like the same, like literally the same.
What did I? 95 Mustang.
Yeah, that was
5.0.
like I thought it was like a 4.6, the blue one.
The blue one, yeah, 4.6 convertible.
Yeah.
Rag top, flopping.
Yeah, we did a couple digs and you'd pop out on me, and then I'd pass you at like 130 at like a snail's pace.
Oh yeah.
Like it was like so close every time. Well, that was it. Then we couldn't get the converter put up in this. He does like a flyby at the football field because, you know, that's just what he does. He was that kind of guy. And I'm like, oh, there's Bill's Mustang, and Austin was like, yeah, that thing looks pretty fast. And me, that's when I had my Audi 8 at the time, and I was like racing everything that moved. And I was like, I could beat that thing. He's like, oh no, that thing's pretty quick. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm gonna find out. So I pulled out my phone. I added Bill on Facebook because we went to high school together. You know, middle school, high school. He was a grade ahead of me the whole way up. Never talked to the guy. He was in like a different clique, kind of like with all the Votech, like redneck, heavy duty, just like troublemaker kids. Practicing parallel parking, just waiting in line. This is incriminating, but that's, you know, that was like 5 years ago.
You don't know what to think. You don't know what to think.
And I wasn't part of that, so I never talked to him. But I added him on Facebook. I said, hey, I want to race your Mustang. He said, all right, meet me at 422 at 10:30. And it was that simple. So I met him there, and he's like, all right, what are we doing? I'm like, all right, let's just go. And we go. And I'll put the video in a little bit here. We raced for like 30 seconds. It was a long race because both of our cars were so dang slow. But that was probably the most fun I've ever had in a race.
He got the jump because he thought you. Things are straight. He thought that was the cop too.
It was a good time.
That was like the most intense race.
We went rounds.
Because he kind of got out on me, and then I reeled him in. All the time I'm just listening to his car do work, and mine's doing work, and we're right there door to door. Like, you don't really feel that at a track because you're so far from the guy next to you. It's like they're not even there. But when you're on the street and you're roll racing something that slow, you can take it in. Like, you can look at the other guy, and it's dangerous. Yeah, you could bang into him if you screw up, which is why when you get faster, it's a really bad idea. But when you're slow, it's fun. And I came around him, and I felt really good about myself because my straight piped Audi beat his like 2-valve 4.6 S95, which was basically like who's the tallest midget. But we had a lot of fun. And that's actually, Bill's the one who like really got me into like turning wrenches on stuff, because I called him to help me work up in Monte Carlo once because we were having problems. We couldn't get the converter put up in this car because Sean bolted it to the flex plate. And you come over, and I'm like, we're out of options here. I'm just like, we need to call somebody who knows what they're doing. So I texted you, and you came over, and you put that thing in like 15 minutes, and we're like, oh my God, how did he do that?
Fuck yeah.
Because we struggled with that thing for hours that day.
You guys had ratchet straps up, hooked up, pulling it up, holding it up through the tunnel.
And then he, I started hanging out with him more, and really got into the nitty gritty through him, which happened through street racing. It's pretty wild. So yeah, that's my TED Talk for the day. Let me know what you think. You think there's a perfect fastness for a car when it comes to the driving experience, the way it sounds, the way it feels. Because you can't argue that when you're fast, like one of my favorite parts about Thing is just the way it feels, like the butt dyno acceleration, how it puts you back in the seat. That's an experience in itself. It's just a different one than the one I'm talking about. Well, I don't know. What do you think? What's your level of fastness? These are my thoughts. I'm speaking them. I don't care if you don't like these kinds of videos. I'm going to keep making them, because even if nobody watches them, I'm going to go back and watch them in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. They're still going to be there, and I'm going to think, wow, that's interesting. I like to know what I thought about back then. So if you don't like it, suck it. If you do like it, I'm glad you're here, and I want to know what you think. We'll see you tomorrow.